Hi then, welcome back to Fat's Kitchen. I'm about to begin making a family favorite, and that is calzone. This is a Italy meets Portugal calzone because I fill my calzone with chorizo and olives. Right now I already prepared my dough for my calzone yesterday, my pizza dough, and if you'd like to know how to prepare your own pizza dough, please click on the link up here for a video tutorial. And it's been in the refrigerator overnight. You can see it's risen, and I'm just going to turn it out onto this floured surface. It should drop out on its own. Come and have a look. You can see it's so bubbly here on the outside. Lots of bubbles that are being produced. It seems to need a little bit of encouragement to come loose. There we go. Now you don't have to prepare your own dough. I'm just going to knock it flat. These days you can get store-bought dough. I'm just going to weigh my dough so that you can get an idea of how much dough you should purchase if you are going to use store-bought dough. And this lump of dough weighs 600 grams. So we are going to use 300 grams. I'm going to divide it up now equally. 300 grams per calzone. I'm making 2 large calzone, and each calzone is enough to serve 2 people. I cut it in half when it comes out the oven. Look at that, beautifully elastic dough. So I'm going to attempt to now cut it exactly in half and weigh it. So that they're going to be roughly the same size. That one's just under 300 grams. And this one's just a little over 300 grams. Okay, I'm just going to coat them a little bit with flour and then set them aside. Just want to roll them up evenly, so that they're in balls when I start rolling them out. Let me first cold this under. This one seems to look a little better than the previous one. And I've floured the surface over here. And I'm just going to cover it up. Right, now once I've done this, I'm going to start preparing my topping and grating my cheese. And another thing is you want to start warming up your oven, heating up your oven. Put it on the highest possible setting that your oven can go. You want a really hot oven in order to do your pizza. And you also want to place the tray that you're going to bake into your oven as well to warm up. So I have my tray that I'm going to use here. This is actually an experiment today. It's the first time I'm going to use this tray. You can see it's perforated, so I'm hoping that this will allow my pizza to brown really nicely at the bottom. But I'm going to place this and keep it warm. You don't want to place your calzone or your pizza onto a cold surface. You want that surface to be warm. So that it starts cooking from the bottom straight away. So this is going into my oven to get warmed up. The oven is going, and I'm going to just get my toppings together. Right, so I'm flattening out my dough. I'm using my fingers, as you can see. I started on the inside and I work my way around. And you can use flour if you feel that your dough is sticking to your surface. Now calzone is believed to have originated in the town of Naples in the southern part of Italy, and it is also the hometown of the football team Napoli, of which my Sicilian life partner is a huge fan and a huge supporter. He's also a huge fan of my calzone with the Portuguese sausage and the olives. Now I'm going to continue stretching this out and shortly it should be more or less the size that I'm looking for. Right, I'm roughly at the size that I'm looking for, and I don't have one of those peels that they use to launch the calzone or the pizza into the oven with, so I'm just going to use the back of another baking tray. I'm just going to put a little bit of semolina on here so it will make it easy for me to slide it onto my pan in the oven. And then I'm just going to place half of my dough on here, and then I can begin to spread my toppings. Right, so I've prepared here a tomato sauce. Now if you want to see how I prepare this tomato sauce, you can just click on the link here, and there'll be a very short tutorial that will show you how this was prepared. So I'm going to spread a small amount of the sauce distributed. I've got some fresh oregano and some dried oregano in my sauce, and some garlic. It's been fried in olive oil, so there's a lot of flavor in my sauce as well. So you can see I'm only putting the sauce on half of the dough, and this is basically going to be the bottom part of my calzone as it goes into the oven. Right, and then I have here, I've chopped up some chorizo, Portuguese sausage. The Spanish also make chorizo, and I'm now going to also distribute this on over my tomato base. Just try and place it evenly. And then what I have done is I've chopped up some deep pitted olives, black olives. Please, no Kalamata olives. That is for Greek cooking. I have here, you can use either Portuguese, Italian, or Spanish olives. I haven't chopped them up too small. And hopefully just get them distributed evenly as well between my chorizo. And now, of course, the grated mozzarella cheese. Now you can play around with your toppings. I also use, from time to time, I use chopped salami. The same combination, also the same tomato sauce, the black olives, and the mozzarella cheese. And then of course I'm going, so basically a calzone is really, it's very similar to a pizza, only you flip the dough over and you close it up. So it's really just like a pizza pie. And the intention of this particular dish initially was so that people could, during their lunch hours, they could pick up a calzone from a vendor on the street, and they could walk and eat the calzone. Whereas it's not that easy to do that with a pizza. Okay, I think I've got a fair amount of cheese on here. Right now you want to close up your dough, so, oops, wrong bowl. I've got some water here, and I'm just going to wet the edges. This will just help my dough to seal. I'll wet the edges all around. Just move up that topping, and flip this over, and then just press the edges together. It's quite nice to have this large portion of dough, because it bakes and it becomes so lovely and crispy, these outer edges, beautiful crunch that it develops. Right, and then what I also like to do is I just sprinkle a little bit over the top Oh, I'm a bit worried about this container. Do this quite carefully. Don't make a huge mess. And using a pastry brush, this will also help with the browning and of course also the flavor. And then what I've also found to be very tasty is I have this Mediterranean roast seasoning that I just sprinkle liberally over the top. Like this, not too much. It's got a bit of coarse salt in here, some additional herbs like rosemary. And then I'm just going to poke, and use a spoon, just poke a couple of holes here. It's going to become quite hot and steamy in here. So I poke some holes in here just to let the steam escape, so that your dough can become quite crispy and cook on the inside. And I'm going to get ready now to launch this into my hot oven. There we go. Right, doesn't matter that you've left the oven open, it's actually going to encourage the oven to warm up again. Let's start there. Now, depending on the temperature of your oven, you're looking at about 10 to 15 minutes, but just keep an eye on it and use your nose. When it smells good, you know it's ready. We'll come back later and see how it looks. Right, so it's time to take the calzone out of the oven. Listen to that sound. And keep tap on it. Hear that? Right, and now if you're not going to serve right away, because it's obviously really hot, if you're not going to serve it right away, you can just transfer it onto a wire rack like this. This will prevent the calzone from getting soggy underneath before you serve it. I'm just going to check that steam popping out of those little holes that I made. Okay, and I'm going to leave it there to cool just for a couple of minutes, and then I'll cut it up and put it onto plates and serve. Oh, listen to that crispy crunchiness. You can see the filling inside there. And when I place it on the plate, you'll see this is quite a large portion. Oh, and I've got to have me some of this crust. Really good. Have a seat. Dinner's served.